Second Esdras, chapter 6. Now, this is a famous chapter, you know what I'm saying? This is a beautiful and mighty chapter because there's a very famous verse that's in this chapter that's quoted by many Israelite camps. Verse 9 of chapter 6 of Second Esdras that states, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Chapter 6. And he said unto me, In the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure. Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by no other. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question, Esdras, asked thou not. I answered then and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou showedest me part the last night. So he answered and said unto me, Stand up upon thy feet, and hear a mighty sounding voice. And it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved. And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. And it said, Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have heard unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound. When every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. I have to break down 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verses 21 through 23, y'all. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. What does that mean? That means these kids nowadays, they're going to be starting to talk back to their parents earlier and earlier. You know what I'm saying? We see it now. We see it in social media. Kids that's just so big-headed. They talk back to their parents. They have no respect. The woman with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. What is that? That's the people that took the juice. You know what I'm saying? The people that took the juice, their children are going to be basically preemies, 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. Continuing, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. What is that? That means all the people that act all comfortable, you know what I'm saying, they live in this comfortable life, it's going to be over, bro. Everything is going to change. That's that sown places. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The sown places are the people that's in the mansions. They're going to be unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. What's the full storehouses? People going to start going mad, starting to grab everything off the shelves. In my favorite verse of this chapter, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. What does that mean, y'all? That means all these so-called UFO sightings, that's the physical part of it. The spiritual part is going to be hearing all these sounds, all these unknown, unworldly sounds. And I hear them. I mean, I try not to tell nobody, but I hear them on the nightly, bro. When I read, it's going down in the spiritual realm. My ancestors, you know what I'm saying? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and all the lineage from them. All the holy archangels are my ancestors. They're all going to war and they're winning too. And speaking of that, in the description of this video, when I'm done with this video, go to my description. I'm going to have a mighty lesson from GOCC Church. Now, again, I don't follow churches and this and that, but I do take the wisdom that each one of these foundations have, and I get discernment from each and every one of them. You don't have to follow nobody to watch things. You know what I'm saying? You could watch righteous things and take little bits and pieces here a little, there a little. That doesn't mean you're a part of that camp. That doesn't mean you're a part of that congregation. That just basically means you're searching for wisdom. What did Mother Wisdom say in Proverbs? Proverbs chapter 1, verses 20 through 33. Wisdom crieth out. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her word, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof? Behold, I will pour out my spirit upon you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called, and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and with none of my reproof. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For they hated knowledge, and did not choose the fear of I am. They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearken unto me shall dwell safely, and yea, shall be quiet from fear of evil. I'm sorry, y'all, but when it comes to my Mother Wisdom, I get emotional when I read her verses. You know what I'm saying? So what did I just say? Verse 20 of Chapter 1 of Proverbs, wisdom crieth out, she uttereth her voice in the streets. Wisdom basically is crying out. She's letting us know, listen to me, hear me, find me, search me, seek, and ye shall find. Continuing, 2 Esdras chapter 6, starting at verse 24. Well, 23. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape, and see my salvation. All praise. In the end of your world, and the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth. What does that mean, y'all? What does verse 26 mean? And the men that are received shall see it. The men that are received are the men that are going to get their crown, the men that the Most High chooses, the men that are sealed. You know what I'm saying? They shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth, which means they will never die. They'll never have to experience death. They will live on forever. All praise. And what does that mean? That means me and you. That means the righteous. We will never have to experience death. Because when the Messiah comes, The people that are here now are going to be reigning with him for that 1,000 years. And guess what? We'll be alive for another 1,000 years. Yes. Just like in Old Testament time, you know what I'm saying? When men used to live hundreds of years, it's all coming back. What did I say before? History repeats itself. All praise. Hey, and real quick before I continue, yo, the heathen, the unrighteous, the sinners, brother, I feel for you, brother. It's gonna be a pain that's unimaginable, huh? Oh man, how do y'all play with the Most High like this? Continuing, and the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned into another meaning. Have to break that down. The heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned into another meaning. What does that mean to be turned into another meaning? It means being turned into something else. The people that took the juice, they gonna be turned at that time into something else. Whatever's dwelling within them, you're gonna see it come out. You know what I'm saying? Just like the sealed righteous. Whenever the unrighteous turn, we're gonna turn at the same time. But we're gonna turn into a holy, righteous creature that the world has never seen. For evil shall be poured out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And when he talked with me, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood. And these words said he unto me, I am come to show thee the time of the night to come. If thou wilt pray yet more, and fast 7 days again, I shall tell thee greater things by day than I have heard. For thy voice is heard before the Most High, for the mighty hath seen the righteous dealings. He hath seen also thy chastity, which thou hast had ever since thy youth. And therefore hath he sent me to show thee all these things, and to say unto thee, Be of good comfort, and fear not. And hasten not with the times that are past, to think vain things, that thou mayest not hasten from the latter times. And it came to pass after this, that I wept again and fasted 7 days in like manner, that I might fulfill the 3 weeks which he told me. And in the 8th night was my heart vexed within me again, and I began to speak before the Most High, for my spirit was greatly set on fire, and my soul was in distress. And I said, O Lord, thou speakest from the beginning of the creation, even of the first day, and said it thus, Let heaven and earth be made, and thy word was a perfect work. And then was the spirit, and darkness and silence were on every side. The sound of man's voice was not yet formed. Then commandest thou a fair light to come forth of thy treasures, that thy work might appear. Upon the 2nd day thou madest the spirit of the firmament, and commandest it to part asunder, and to make a division betwixt the waters, that the one part might go up, and the other remaineth beneath. Upon the 3rd day thou didst command that the waters should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. 6 parts hast thou dried up, and kept them, to the intent that of these some being planted of I am, and tilled, might serve thee. For as soon as the word went forth, the work was made. For immediately there was great and innumerable fruit, and many and diverse pleasures for the taste, and flowers of unchangeable color, and odors of wonderful smell. And this was done the 3rd day. Upon the 4th day thou commandest that the sun should rise, and the moon give her light, and the stars should be in order. And gavest them a charge to do service unto men that was to be made. Upon the 5th day thou saidst unto the 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living things, at the commandment of I am, that all people might praise thy wondrous works. Then didst thou ordain 2 living creatures, the one thou calledest Enoch, and the other Leviathan, and didst separate the one from the other, for the 7th part, namely, where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. Unto Enoch thou gavest 1 part, which was dried up the 3rd day, that he should dwell in the same part, wherein are 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the 7th part, namely the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured, of whom thou wilt and when. Upon the sixth day thou gavest commandment unto the earth, that before thee it should bring forth beasts, cattle, and creeping things, and after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures. Of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. And this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing but like unto spittle. I had to stop real quick. Who is that spittle? That spittle is the unrighteous. That spittle is the blasphemers. That spittle is the unbelievers. That spittle is those people not following the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their abilities. If that's you, then in the Most High's eyes, you're considered spittle. You're considered, that's what you're considered in the Most High's eyes. So you better get wise and get right now, because we don't have a lot of time left. And has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, that's you, Israel, thy only begotten, that's you, Israel, and thy fervent lover, that is you, Israel, are given into their hands. Why are you giving into their hands? Because you're not doing what you're supposed to. Follow the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, and then we won't be given into the hands of the heathen. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? And we will find out, y'all, tomorrow in 2nd Esdras chapter 7. Let's hear what the Holy Archangel Uriel has to tell Esdras about how long we shall endure. And with that, I yield. All praise to the power of the Son of Man, Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, Father, I am that I am, and his only begotten Son, the Son of Man, the Messiah, the Redeemer, to finally come and save the small remnant of the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Israel, keep your head up and your faith strong in spiritual Jacob's trouble, because it is going down. The trumpets have been blown. And are you ready? That's the question. Shalom.